Now let's build our this same ramp setup inside of VEX by writing our own VEX code. So for that, I'm going to first duplicate the setup where we have set at the p scale. Okay, here we have it, where we are using the ramp to set up our this p scale. I'm going to just select all of these nodes, press and hold the Alt key to drag to duplicate them, and I'm going to place them in here, and let's remove the attribute warp node. And now we get the same uniform p scale value. And in here, let's add an attribute wrangle node, and let's connect this in here. And in here, we know that we want to create an p scale value. So first data type, the attribute name, attribute I want to create is the p scale. And now I want to remap my values by using the ramp. You can actually create the ramp. Let me first change this to 0 and add a semicolon, otherwise this will throw an error. So here as you can see, if I just leave it like that, it will throw an error, this attribute wrangle, which means that we forgot to end the argument. That is why I was just initializing this to 0. So in here, let's create a parameter, ramp type parameter. We know that we can create the float channel by typing the chf for the float and for the integer for the I. And to actually create the ramp, we have also have a channel called channel ramp. So ch, now we need to type the name ramp, and here as you can see, we have that channel ramp, that is the function. And same way, we need to just add the braces, and in here we just need to type the name of our ramp, that what we want to call. We can call anything of our ramp. So let's see how we can actually create a ramp. First, I'm going to store this in a variable, because we know we can just type a variable name to set a scale. So first I'm going to create a float variable. So I'm going to type the variable data type float, and this time I'm going to call this one ramp. So that is the variable name. And for this one, I'm going to create a channel ramp. So let's add a channel ramp, ch ramp, which means we want to create a ramp type channel. So let's, inside of the braces, we need to create the name of our parameter. I'm going to call this one my ramp. I'm going to just rename this my ramp, and it should be inside of this quotation. And now it requires another argument. The other argument is the values that we want to fit with in this by using this ramp. And I want to fit my curve u attribute by using this ramp. So in here, I can just type the attribute name by adding an @ and now the name of the attribute. And the name is called the curve u. And we need to close this inside of this small bracket and the argument with the semicolon. And now let's click, and to actually create the ramp, we need to just click on this option. Let's click on it, and here as you can see, we have the ramp parameter created, and it is called my ramp because we are calling this one my ramp, and it is fitting the curve u values. And now we just need to use this ramp to set our p scale. Right now we are setting this as a value of 0. So onto the p scale, let's use this ramp variable to set the p scale. So in here, I'm going to just replace this with my variable name, that is called the ramp. And now, here as you can see, we have the same functionality built in now by the VEX code. I can play around with this ramp to really attract all of these p scale values along the length. And now finally, let's use the ramp to actually adjust our y position of our curve. For that, I'm going to just duplicate this same setup, or maybe these three nodes, just these two nodes, sorry. Just select all of them, come over here, and in here let's create an attribute triangle. Again, connect this onto the first input, and maybe let's zoom in, bring up the parameter, and first let's create a variable float where we will going to be storing our ramp, and I'm going to calling this variable name to ramp. And now to create actual channel, we need to type the ch, and now I want to create a ramp type channel, and in the braces we need to define the parameter name. You can call anything that you like, but I'm going to call this one my ramp. And remember, that is the label that is going to be assigned when the parameter is going to be created. So I'm going to call this one my ramp, and it should be inside of the quotation, and now the colon to add another argument, and the other one is the attribute that we want to control with this ramp, and I want to control my curve u attribute. So add and curve u, and that should be close this inside the braces and end the argument with semicolon. And to actually create the ramp, just click on it, and now the ramp has been created. This parameter has been created, and it is we are calling this one my ramp because we have written this my ramp. And now to actually control our y position, we know that we want to set our p attribute. The position is stored inside of p. So in here I can say at p, capital P. Now that attribute stored the position, and it is a vector. So which means I can say at p and say this equal to, if I say at p, and let's end this with semicolon. So nothing is happening. We are importing our p, our point position attribute, and we are setting this at p again. So nothing is happening in there. But what I would like to do, I would like to change its y position. So inside of vex, I can separate the vector component by adding, after the attribute name, add a dot, and after that you can type the component name. So let's say if I want to change the x component at p.x, now which means that we are changing the x component. And same way I can say I want to change the y component, I can say at p.y, and for the z I can say at p.z. But right now, because I want to change my y position, so in here I'm going to say at p.y. So I'm going to say in here that our current point position, please import y position. So at p.y. So our current point y position, and that should be equal to the ramp. We know that y is an a1 value, it's an a float, so which means I can use the ramp, it is an a float. So in here I'm going to just type a ramp variable name, and it should work like that. And here as you can see, we have our y position adjusted according to this ramp, which means I can play around with this ramp, and my y position should represent the same as we have the ramp. And same thing, if I want to adjust this middle position, let me clear out all of these dots, all of these position ramps, and I'm going to, the first one is 0, and the last one I'm going to change this to 0 to bring everything down. And at the middle I'm going to add a point, and to actually change the position we have this position slider. I'm going to say go to at the center. The center is the 0.5, and now I can adjust the value by adjusting this knob or by adjusting this value parameter. And now we are moving our center y position up. And same way I can change this one interpolation. Let's change this to monotonic cubic, that is a smoother interpolation. Let's change the first one to monotonic cubic as well, the last one to monotonic cubic as well. And we have this smoother interpolation between our these ramps. That is the basics of the channels, how you can create the channels, create the ramp parameter inside of both VEX and VOPs.